Hello everyone, this is Malia Berger and this is my Module 2. So to give a little bit of information again about me, I currently have a bachelor's degree in middle level education, mathematics concentration from Millersville University. I graduated in 2014. This is my second year of teaching. I teach at Redline Area School District at Clearview Elementary School. I'm currently teaching 5th grade writing and science. I say currently because I know next year I will be teaching something different. I just haven't been told what I'm teaching. My hobbies include mini golfing, jigsaw puzzles, and bowling. So for my experience when it comes to online learning as well as online teaching, my first experience online learning was during my bachelor's degree. It was an earth science class. It was only available online. I felt though it was a very difficult class. All of my grades were based upon quizzes and tests, and those tests were timed 45 minutes to an hour to complete every single one. I read all the material, studied all the material, and everything like that. Again, it was just very difficult. It actually kind of deterred me from taking an online class in the future based upon how difficult it was, but obviously I decided to move past that. This is currently my 5th online master's degree class. I feel like a lot of classes, though, are set up differently based upon the content, I believe, as well as just the professor. So some professors use modules while others just give due dates for things. I think a lot of classes, though, also vary when it comes to the amount of work that is necessary, but I think it also has to do with the allotted time. So when it comes to online teaching, currently I am an online teacher. I am hoping, though, that what I'm experiencing right now is not what online teaching would be looking like. Our district is not one-to-one when it comes to technology in the elementary schools. We are in the middle school and the high school, but not in the elementary. And actually, half of our school population does not have access to the internet. And this is not based upon financials. This is literally based upon the internet providers do not go to their location. So this has been a very, very difficult situation for a lot of our district's families and students. I have a lot of students that are communicating with me in so many different ways because of this. I have some students who have access to a device when it comes to just using their phone to communicate with me. I have some students who only are able to use a computer. I have some other students who only can do email. They cannot access my Google Classroom. So this has been a very interesting kind of approach to what online teaching would be looking like. But before our online teaching experience, I did already use a blended hybrid teaching style. We are not one-to-one, so it was not possible for my students to all be on a device at the same time. So I used the blended hybrid learning teaching style for different reasons. One would be some students would prefer to just write in paper and pencil, and I'm perfectly fine with that, while other students would have rather to type, so they chose to do that. I also gave differentiated instruction based upon their needs on Google Classroom. So some students needed a little bit of interventions and a little bit of reteaching, and I used the actual Google Classroom to do that to those specific people. So I did kind of already have a little bit of differentiated included within my online teaching and style. So skills when it comes to my online teaching. I think that I've developed some interpersonal skills, coaching skills, writing, communicating skills. I communicate with my students many different ways. I have some students who just comment on my Google Classroom by going to a private message on their actual assignment and then just asking me questions. I have some students who email it to me. I have some students who will get on my Google Meet time. My Google Meet time is not mandatory. It's actually office hours based upon the majority of our students not being able to have technology at their fingertips. And I also have a Google document because I do have some students who are still using Google Docs to be able to create their writing so that I'm able to just comment on them. So my ability to recognize different learning needs, I think I still even do that. When it comes to one of my students was not able to do all the necessary things every single week. It was becoming a lot of work. So we actually differentiated that for that exact particular student. And we gave something that was a little bit more reasonable for his needs. So we were able to do that. So we also adapted the instructional methods. Also, nurturing students. I know a lot about my students' backgrounds, and I think that that's been really, really helpful in being able to understand how I can communicate with them as well as what things they might be struggling with at this point in time. Also, the ability to understand online classroom management. I am reaching out to my students any way possible, especially if they're not communicating, just to check in on them and see exactly what's going on. For my technology skills, I think that I have strong ones in most devices. I have noticed that there are some difficulties that some of my students are having, but it's with devices that I'm not familiar with. So I'm not really as able to help them with those, but most of the technology questions I've been getting, I've been able to answer them. So the things that I think need more developing when it comes to my online instruction would definitely be engaging students. I think that some of the things that we're still requiring our students to do is not necessarily what they would want to be doing, and kind of getting to that engagement part. Also, classroom organization skills. I have so many different things that I have to be constantly keeping track of. Sometimes I miss over some things, and just making sure that I have some type of method and procedure that I'm getting things accomplished and checking everything off in every little box. Also, time management. Definitely getting things at different times throughout the week, especially. I have some students who I feel are only working on it at the end of the week, so I'm getting a lot of kids giving me their assignments towards the end of the week, and then I'm not getting as many in the beginning. So being able to time manage those and kind of do everything in the beginning of the week so to prepare myself for the end of the week has really been a thing. Also, I think what would need developed is content and subject area knowledge, but I think that this is more because this is only my first year in teaching fifth grade. I taught fourth grade last year, so I think that I'm not as strong in this subject area. So the next thing would be quality, which was what was discussed in our reading. And the 5 things that they focused on were dedication, motivation, flexibility, organization, passion, and patience. So what would kind of look a little bit different when it comes to online in comparison to face-to-face for dedication and motivation is that you're working alone. You don't have as much interaction, so you kind of have to make sure that you're motivating yourself to get things done. You don't have people around you, but you definitely have those deadlines that you have to be thinking about, as well as varied hours because of students being able to access it 24/7. That kind of makes your hours maybe look different than what the normal face-to-face class would look like. Flexibility, definitely available 24/7, and you need to make sure that you're still communicating more frequently with your actual students because you're not having that face-to-face interaction. For organization, a lot of routines and procedures, making sure that you're keeping track of things, monitoring discussions, composing weekly assignment announcements, even releasing new online content or create discussions. And this was definitely mentioned when it comes to making sure that you don't have students that are just sitting and not doing anything because you haven't already posted it or you haven't already given them the next thing to move on to. Passion, being able to motivate the students and make those online connections. A lot of students won't be able to do those things if you're not going to be able to motivate them to get it done. Patience, being able to react and adjust to unexpected issues and situations that might arise or occur. So for cyber teacher versus a face-to-face, and that was based upon the video that we actually saw, I think it was a lot more individualized instruction than I was thinking. And I actually didn't realize that the students were actually communicating with the teacher. On my actual interpretation of cyber school when it came to like cyber teachers is that they were given basically exercises to do and maybe had a lesson, that it was all on the computer and that they weren't having any interaction with the teacher. So this was kind of a new thing for me. I did not realize that they were actually communicating with the teacher when they were doing these types of things. And one of the other things that I think that they focused on was recognizing the tone of voice, because a lot of times you can tell if a student doesn't understand something based upon their facial features and what they are showing you. But in this case, they're not able to see the actual student, so they have to know it by the tone of voice and really recognize what they're hearing more than what they're seeing. So the last part would be my challenges, and I really couldn't choose which one I think would be the challenges that I would be foreseeing. Because I think that all three could easily be a challenge, and I'm already seeing them being a challenge, even in my classroom as a face to face. So, definitely time is a challenge for me, being able to handle everything that's happening, being able to communicate with every single student, giving them proper feedback, giving them all those different things, but in a timely manner has been a lot of a struggle. Course content, even in a face-to-face scenario, and even now, I don't really have a lot of um, ability to be able to change the course content as of right now. So I could even see that being an issue, especially if you're focusing more on the individualized instruction and not being able to change that content. Also, I could see student issues being a problem. I do have some students who are not as motivated, so being able to reach out to them and being able to have that face-to-face contact, I think, and also that personalized contact has really helped to motivate them. But when you're in an online platform, I don't necessarily know that that would be exactly what would be able to happen. And that was my module 2. Thanks.